Hello, friends, and happy Friday. It's so great to be here with you. If you're joining us live, welcome to the show. I know for some of you today, for those of you who are entrepreneurs, today is estimated tax day. So I guess happy estimated tax day to you as well this third quarter. And welcome to In the Loop with Winnie and Greg. I'm Winnie Sun, longtime financial pro, CNBC councilman. Member and Forbes contributor and a host also of Level Up, which can be found on NASDAQ on other streaming platforms. But of course, what makes Friday really special is that I get to hang out with Greg. Greg, how you doing?
Hello, I am doing good. It's great to be here. Great to see you, Winnie, and of course for everybody who's joining in. For those that don't know, I'm Greg Nibbler, longtime tech reporter. I've covered a lot of different things. Also a reporter for Fox 12 Oregon here out of Portland. And on this show, we get to talk about some tech. I've got some cool stuff. I've got some stuff that we're going to be thinking about, and of course, it was the Apple event this week. So I'm sure everybody has some opinions on Apple. We're going to talk about that. I'll go through some of the highlights of what they talked about, what they showcased. I want to know if you're excited about them. So definitely drop in your comments. As you can see right there, people can drop in their comments as we go throughout the show. But I am excited to find out, Winnie, a little bit more about what's going on in the financial world.
Yes, Greg, it's great to hear from you. And I can't wait to get your opinion on the Apple event because I know a lot of people were sharing their comments online, offline, and everything in between. But I want to say
Yeah.
quick, yeah, welcome to, of course, CrossX Fighter. I see joining on YouTube. Like, wow, I see a lot of friends say joining on Facebook and LinkedIn. And don't be shy. Come in and say hello. Let us know how your Friday is going. But yeah, Greg, I'm here to tell you about, I'll give you kind of some financial headlines this week that I think are really interesting. I will say today so far, we're kind of really much in the red. It's a triple down day so far. The Dow is currently down 278 points. Yeah. Nasdaq is down 215 points as well. Oh, bleeding red there. And the S&P 500 also down 51 points. So of course we'll check and see how things go before we close up the show today, but so far it doesn't look so good. You know, this is not new though. I will tell you that this week has been a very choppy week. We did see some positive numbers yesterday though, but the Dow is down significantly today as investors are sort of bracing for the upcoming Federal Reserve policy meeting that's expected for September 20th, so just next week. Also, we're seeing continued weakness in the tech sector, and you've probably seen that as well. The auto industry, I will say, has really been having a tough time. In fact, thousands of United Auto Worker members are like are on strike, and they've just failed to reach an agreement with automakers. So the auto industry is really hurting right now in terms of like wages and benefits and all that stuff. But yeah, there's been a lot of mixed data in terms of inflation of whether things are going to get better or they haven't gone better. And I would say overall, given the continued rise in interest rates, we were really hoping for some better inflation numbers, but it doesn't seem like we're there quite yet. So a lot of people are expecting to hear the Fed Reserve's policy decision, which is going to be next week. So a lot of people are thinking that interest rates will probably stay where they are and not rise once again on the 20th. But who really knows? Who really knows? I mean, everything is about inflation these days. We are paying too much for groceries and eggs and bread and then things that get us from point A to point B in terms of gasoline and everything in between. And speaking of inflation, Greg, I know this is something you and I talked about, but there was a lot of talk recently about Beyonce and Taylor Swift and how much is too much for a concert ticket. And is it really worth the price tag? So I'm curious, Greg, like what was the last concert that you attended?
Let me think here. The last one, gosh, I've been to a few concerts this summer. I went to a festival in Tacoma.
Okay.
I went to a festival
And
in Tacoma for
can you
no
tell us
effects.
how much you spent? Under 100, over 100?
It was over 100, but it was for 2 days, 2 full days. So it was
Okay.
like I think it was $150. But that was like 20 bands, 2 days. So I felt like I got my money's worth out of that.
Good. Well,
I
okay.
just saw that $2,500 for Beyonce tickets. That's not something I'm going to be doing.
Yeah, so that I mean, so like $150 for 2 days, Greg, right? That's actually something that I think a lot of people can afford. But here's this: it was a recent article that came out on and talk. I think it was on CNBC, where the author says that they spent $2,580 to see Beyonce perform in Las Vegas for her 24th birthday. And so this had, I guess, a profound impact on her life. And, she really, really enjoyed this. But I want to break this down in terms of like finances, right? Because so often we've heard about this Las Vegas concert, Beyonce, we've heard about Swifties and Taylor Swift and how much those concert tickets, like how much is too much? Of course, you could say like I want to see it live. I love her. I love the music. I love all that. But I wanted to give you a feeling of like something to like quantify this with, like as your financial friend, right? The question is it worth it? So I did some numbers for you and I want to share this with everybody because this is how I would give you something so you can tell me, like you personally would need to make the decision of whether or not you think this is worth it. So, at present value, at the author's age of 24 years old, $2,580 being spent on one Beyonce concert in Las Vegas, one ticket. Let's assume a 7% rate of interest, right? Growth. And that's pretty reasonable given that inflation is like, at those levels now. At age 60, which would be 36 years for this author, that would be a total cost of just shy, well, right around $29,500. So the question is that one day concert worth at like sort of normal retirement age is around 60 years old, right? $29,500. Yes or no? I want to hear from you. I see Kat joining us on LinkedIn live as well. Greg, how do you feel about that?
Well, I would never spend that much on, I don't care who it is. I'm not going to spend that much for a concert ticket, but assuming that, that's an option, that was something that I would want to do. I mean, $29,000 sounds a lot better. I can see the argument, you only live once and maybe you're not going to, you never know how life is going to go. So maybe that was that experience where it was that important to her that she got that much, I guess, life value out of it. For me, no, I'll take the money. I just can't justify in my mind paying that much for a ticket.
That's a lot of money. And I'm going to just say, like, at 24 years old, this is your financial geeky friend. I mean, I get Beyonce is absolutely legendary. So is Taylor Swift. But I would say that that money could be better spent invested in yourself, right? Put that money in a Roth IRA. I feel like that's the way I would go. But on that note, if you really want this fun experience, I got to share with you something else that's come out. And I want to tell you, some like my son is now in high school and some of his friends, parents have been talking about this. And I feel like this is a way where you could sort of have an experience, but not quite blow your budget. So, there's now this thing called a private Taylor Swift concert experience. And if you haven't heard of this is actually pretty interesting. So, obviously, a lot of people want to go see Taylor Swift. She's legendary, right? Such an incredible experience. But she might not fit the price tag of everybody and everybody's budget. So, Cinemark is now setting up this movie going experience. So there's an opportunity for you to rent an entire movie theater for your own Taylor Swift Eras Tour concert film experience where you can have a private Swiftie party. These rentals cost $800. This helps you accommodate 40 of your favorite friends and family into one experience. And this allows fans to have this exclusive viewing of this concert film in your own private Cinemark auditorium. And we know there's Cinemarks all across the United States. So this is one way for them to do it. So $800, you sort of have that VIP experience, but let's be honest, you're not within breathing room of Taylor Swift, but you will be able to view this incredible concert and experience and the comfort of your own neighborhood if you want to. So this is sort of part of that Eras tour. And let's just say, like, how brilliant is this, right? For Taylor Swift and her brand. Because this concert film has already achieved so much financial success. We're talking in the realm of $26 million in pre-sale tickets alone. In
Wow.
fact, yeah, a single day record for AMC theaters. Um, and so that I think that's gonna be like the next thing where, I mean, how is that? I mean, that's kind of like streaming, right, Greg? But I mean, it's in a movie theater, so that's kind of cool. And so you can kind of have that fun experience where we're all getting together and you can like dress up and do stuff, but then you're not actually at the concert.
Right. I mean, if you had 40 people, I mean, for $20, I guess if you know 40 people who are that hardcore of Taylor Swift fans, that could be, I guess, a fun night because if you think about it, it's 40 split up. So um that's if you have that many people. I I don't know. It's hard to quantify something too with somebody like Taylor Swift because she is such a huge phenomenon right now that she's not even like a normal performer.
She's
She's
not
on her
human
own
anymore.
level that has that many people. I mean, to drive $26 million. Also, congratulations to Taylor Swift for just having such a huge moment right now. I was reading something about her, just how she's changing economies, when she comes into town because she brings in so much money. Yeah, I mean, I think that's a good use of a theater, though. Change it up a
Yeah,
little bit.
change it up. And I know theaters have been struggling, especially during the
Yeah,
pandemic when people stopped going new movie theaters. But it'll be interesting to see, Greg. What I think will be really fascinating to see is this correlation between like, sales for these sort of movie theater concerts versus like opening day on different movies, right? And
yeah,
like this is another way for theaters to get people into seats and sell tickets. This seems like a great side hustle for movie theaters, of just another way to bring in income, and of course Taylor Swift expanding her brand. Seems pretty bright. And like I yeah, and Greg, you were talking about something which I want to touch upon really quickly too, and that is tourflation. And so tourflation is this new big thing where there's actually a connection between concerts, big brands like Beyonce and Taylor Swift and Bruce Springsteen and Elton John, Harry Styles. Like when they come into your city or town and they bring these large crowds and concert goers, and it's not just like the high ticket price, but they actually impact these economies of cities, but also countries. And just like it's just incredible, showing figures like an 8.7% increase in the UK just having these concerts come into town. It's absolutely incredible, just the impact of these entertainers now.
yeah. It's wild how much influence and that she has. Actually, that concert that I mentioned earlier, the No Effects one that I went to, that was in Tacoma, which is just south of Seattle, happened to be on the same weekend that Taylor Swift was doing 2 nights in Seattle, and it completely changed traffic. I mean, you just saw cars, lines of cars with Swifty stuff painted all over it. I mean, it's a phenomenon. It's wild, and how much money was brought in. That was the other thing everybody was talking about. The hotels in Seattle, because that's some other events going on too, but they were filling up and people were going down to Tacoma because of hotel space. So um pretty crazy
It's
what
really
she's able to do.
crazy. Yeah, the only negative to that is that it's clear temporary, right? It's kind of like the Olympics. It happens,
Yeah,
and then when they leave, like that money leaves as well. So who knows? Maybe one day instead of Dolly World, you'll see Taylor World. I mean, it could happen, right?
it could
So
happen.
whole amusement parks would continue to capitalize on that brand. Okay, speaking of brand, I'm going to segue really quick to another. I have two more stories to share, and then I definitely want to hear all about Apple for Greg. But there's another thing I want to share with you really quickly, and this is from our friends at Lyft. Lyft, Uber, rideshare services. Lyft is now introducing a new safety feature that's called Women Plus Connect, and I just want to put it out there so you know this is sort of to enhance safety for women and non-binary riders and drivers. And this allows women and non binary drivers and riders to match with each other through the Lyft app with, I guess, that feeling that you might feel more safe if you are a female passenger and you would maybe feel more comfortable with a female driver, which is really interesting because they said currently women and non-binary drivers actually represent about less than a quarter, about 23% of their driver pool. But they're saying that this will make people feel safer because I guess there's been a lot of issues with safety of drivers and whatnot. And this new Women Plus Connect is currently available. and it's going to be available. And where I'm at, and unfortunately not where you are, Greg. So San Francisco, San Jose, San Diego, Phoenix, Chicago. But they've been, I guess, there's been a lot of like assaults on female drivers, and passenger safety is a big issue. Like, just reading this makes me like kind of nervous about this whole thing of like ride sharing. I mean, but it is what it is, right?
Yeah, I mean, I've definitely seen some of the videos that have been out there of, and seen some of the reports of that. I mean, I think that's great. That's a smart feature
It's a
to add
smart
on there.
feature, like,
If that adds a level of comfort and safety,
right? But
why
like,
not?
as a mom of like three sons, I'm like not totally sure I feel comfortable with my son being in one of these things too, right? Because they don't qualify. So I don't know. I'm kind of mixed
I
on
mean,
this thinking.
I'll say I've taken a lot of Lyfts and Ubers. I use them fairly frequently if I'm going to something here in town, just so I don't have to
Same.
drive or park or anything. And generally speaking, the worst thing that I've had is just a driver who talks too much. It's.
Oh,
But then again, I'm also not in the position of being threatened, most likely. So, I haven't encountered a lot of bad drivers. Usually, it's just people making extra money. But that is out there. That's a genuine, that is a concern. So I think that's a great addition to the app.
yeah, and I see a lot of our friends. I see Kat joining us on LinkedIn Live. I see Dr. Leroy. Share with us and let us know if you've had an interesting ride share experience. Because I'm going to share with you really quick that happened to me. Unfortunately, Greg, it wasn't just that someone talked too much. There was one time I took an Uber. This was in Florida. I don't know if Uber or Lyft. It could be one of the two. But literally, we were driving from the airport. I was going to the hotel to a conference. On the way there, the driver stopped the car, got out of the car, and another person jumped in and became my new driver. It was the weirdest thing.
That's
And
I don't like that.
that was like, I did not feel safe about that. I was so glad when we finally got to the hotel. But yeah, it was
Ugh.
gnarly. It was really gnarly. But yeah, those things happen, right? But
Yeah.
no worries. I got something positive before I go ahead and hand this over to Greg. And that is, did you know that September 18th, which is right around the corner, is National Cheeseburger Day? And so,
Ooh.
just so you know, if you're a cheeseburger lover, this is all about you. In fact, McDonald's is going to be offering a 50-cent double cheeseburger. I mean, I can't remember a hamburger being 50 cents since like maybe when I was like a kid in elementary school. But yeah, Burger King's also going to be doing this. They're going to give like free cheeseburgers to members of the Royal Perks program as long as you purchase $1 or more of things. So I'm guessing like a soda or like one French fry is probably over $1 these days, but then you get a free
Yeah.
cheeseburger. And so this is going to continue, I guess, not only for National Cheeseburger Day, but some companies such as Burger King are going to celebrate all week long, and Wendy's is going to be doing this. So yeah, if you're a cheeseburger fan, I guess this September 18th is your day to eat out.
I'm for it. I'll definitely be going to get a cheeseburger that day.
Yeah, I was hoping In-N-Out was doing something because, in my opinion, In-N-Out has a better cheeseburger. But you know, yeah, who knows?
I
Maybe they will.
I will say, on the subject of burgers and In-N-Out, I have my first In-N-Out burger in like 15 years. When I took a trip down to California, I forgot they are pretty good. They're a
They're
pretty
not
good
pretty
burger.
good, Greg. They're like they're an institution.
They're
Like,
they're pretty good. They're all right. I forgot.
I
We've
think
got it. We've got one up here now,
if
but
you said all right, I think you ordered it wrong then.
I know everybody in California gets very defensive of In-N-Out, but we do have one up here now. But the problem is the line. Anytime you want to go there, or if you wanted to go there, you'd have to wait like a half hour, and I'm not going to do that. California, not so bad. You just walk in and get one.
That's right. And then I'm actually
Oh yeah,
close
pretty
to
good.
In-N-Out headquarters. So I'll say this for those of you reviewing here, let us know if you've ever had an In-N-Out burger, how you feel about Greg's context here and his opinion on the In-N-Out burger. And if you haven't, let me just tell you, if you come to California, even I think Nevada now too, I think they have them as well. You have to stop by In-N-Out. It's like it's just something you need to do.
It's good. It is good. I'll say, up here in the Northwest, we have Burgerville, which is a pretty good burger too. It's a different
Burgerville.
style of burger, but yeah, I'd be all down with some burger battles.
We're gonna have to do that one day. All right, Greg. Well, I'm teeing it over to you. I'd love to hear what you've got for us this week.
All right. So I got a couple of things. We're definitely going to get into Apple. I did want to bring this up here first, though, and this has to do with something we brought up here on the show and that everybody talks about a lot, which is AI, artificial intelligence, because it's in everything now, and we're seeing it used in so many different, different products, really everything. And then there is always the worry of what is AI going to do? How intelligent is it going to get? Is it going to be a threat to us? Terminator 2, all that stuff. And along those lines, there is the serious debate about whether AI should be regulated, whether companies should have to go through some kind of regulation or process when they're developing AI, or should it just be a free for all, do whatever you want? And there were some hearings in Congress over this last week, where a bunch of the heads of a lot of different organizations, yes, you can see right there, Bill Gates, Elon Musk, Mark Zuckerberg, in the same room, by the way. They sat them apparently on opposite sides of a table, so they weren't next to each other, Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg, but Sundar Pichai, all those people are there. And so this is some very, very major power players in the tech industry talking about the dangers of AI. Should it be regulated? How should it be regulated? So the discussion's still ongoing, and nothing was really determined. There aren't necessarily any laws that are going to come out of that. There was a quote here that I've got, and this is from Elon Musk, who said this before, but he said, "There's some chance above zero that AI will kill us all. I think it's low, but there's some chance the consequences of getting AI wrong are severe." And then he also said it may go down in history as being very important for the future of civilization. But I think all those things that you just said are, they're all potentially true. But AI regulation is starting to heat up. I think the big question is, are we already too late to start regulating AI? Can they come to an agreement? How is it going to be enforced? A lot of questions along that. But I think the fact that the discussion's being had is a good thing, because I don't think we want just unregulated, complete AI going nuts. How you stop that, I don't know, but I'm just saying this is a pretty big step here, having all of those heads of the technology industry there in talking about that. So I wanted to bring that up. I don't know if there's much to really talk about with it, but I want to make sure that people are aware of that's actually happening. So that's and then we'll go from there. They'll go from there to see if this is something that ends up getting getting regulated, if there's any steps further, but at least it's a start. At least it's a conversation. All right, let's continue on with our conversation, and let's talk about Apple. So the Big Apple event, and I really want to hear Winnie's opinions on a bunch of this stuff. The Big Apple event, of course, happening earlier this week. This is the annual unveiling of whatever the new iPhone is going to be. We have the iPhone 15, the iPhone 15 Plus, the iPhone 15 Pro, the iPhone 15 Pro Max. So you got 4 different new iPhones. There are some changes to it. I'll say one of the bigger changes is the fact that it is now going to be going to using a USB-C charging port. So the good old lightning cable that everybody with an iPhone is so used to, that is going to be going by the wayside. There's a reason for that. The biggest reason is that Apple's getting sued in Europe. So they're pretty much going to have to go to a universal charger. And so I think because of that, they're just going to roll this out everywhere. So switching to USB-C, they've always said that they think this will stifle innovation, because now they'll have to conform to this thing versus they can't develop their own stuff. But it doesn't matter. That's what it is. USB-C is where we're going. So Winnie, I don't know if you have any, strong feelings on USB-C charging cables, but that's what's going to be happening with your new iPhone.
Greg, I'm actually glad it's going this direction, because I do feel like the USB-C charger is more universal. It just feels a lot more stronger. When you have a lightning charger, it just seems like they're always breaking. They don't seem I don't know, they break all the time, and you're always having to buy new ones. And I love the fact that, the USB-C can charge like your laptop, and you can just, like, if you don't have to, when you're traveling, you don't have to bring multiple cables. You can just bring the one and charge everything that you have under the sun. So I think it makes sense. Why not? I mean, I don't have that strong opinion about charging.
Yeah, it's a lot more useful. Just it's one less thing, like you mentioned, you can just use the same thing. And there are there are okay, seeing a note here that came through. I just want to say behind the scenes, there's a production note that I need to bring up. So the regular iPhone 15 model only has USB 2 and not USB 3 speeds. That is a good point. I'm seeing that right there. Yeah. Okay, so that is a big point. So there's talking about speed and speed of transfer of stuff, and this is especially important if somebody's doing a lot of video. If you're filming a lot of video with your phone, you're doing maybe actual commercial work or some production work, transferring those files, that's pretty huge. And there were some notes about just how fast some of this can be if you go up to the iPhone 15 Pro and the Pro Max. They said that you can I'll see if I can find, of course now I don't have my notes in front of me, but up to 10 gigabytes per second of transfer speeds. That's what they're saying the iPhone 15 Pro can do. That's incredibly fast.
That's great.
Yeah, 10 gigabytes per second. So if that's the case, that's pretty great, especially because one of the things that Apple's made no secret of this when you get up to the iPhone 15 Pro and the Pro Max phones is filming video, filming actual movies. We've seen movies that have been filmed on iPhones, but getting that data off of there, that's a good use case of a USB-C port.
They showed that. They showed actually, I think, on the Apple event of like attaching an external drive.
Yeah.
For your filming, and I thought that was really, really helpful. But it didn't seem like there was that big of a difference between the 15 camera and the 16. Or am I right? 14 camera and the 15 camera. My apologies, but it didn't seem like it was that big of a difference enough to like make people want to take that leap. But I don't know. One thing that I was really impressed, Greg, from the Apple event, it wasn't even so much the technology, but I just felt like I was really proud of a lot of things that Apple, like I feel like the first, 10, 15 minutes was all about the things that Apple was doing to help the earth. And I thought that was talk about a smart PR move there. And it almost made me feel like, well, I feel like hopefully this challenges other large tech giants and companies to do the same.
Yeah, and Apple's certainly been one of the companies at the forefront of that. I think all the major ones, Samsung also has a huge eco-friendly push on their side as well. So that's good. That's good that the companies are kind of challenging each other to become more environmentally friendly, especially because there's so much waste with tech products. As things, and that's why like even trade in, like if you can trade in your old phone, that's a great example there, instead of just stacking up old phones. Like I have so many old phones from over the years that are just bricked sitting here and just a kind of a waste. So that is very good. And going to that carbon neutral plan that they have by 2030, and it's a great initiative. And they're doing it. Obviously they do have the money to invest in this and to make that happen, but hopefully that's something that can be passed down. They can figure out ways to make this work for a lot of other companies. So yeah, that is cool. It was kind of a weird presentation with her playing Mother Earth.
Yeah,
I mean, I get she was Mother in that
movie. It was weird.
Yeah, that part was kind of odd. But the message was good.
Yeah,
the message was good.
The message is good. I mean, almost feel like it distracted from what we were there to listen to, which is the product launch. And then, like, that was like, oh wow, that's cool. Apple's doing all these things, and then all of a sudden they show the product. I was like, afterthought. Oh, and by the way, we have new products now.
Yeah. Anytime Tim Cook acts too, it's awkward. It's just tech executives are not good actors. That's across the board.
Tim Cook sticks to what he does. Maybe don't.
You stick to making phones and running that company. Let's cut back on the acting, but no, it's okay. So
it was like,
so that was definitely a good thing from it. I mean, well, let's talk about the iPhone 15. Let's take a look at the new phones out. We've talked a lot here on the show, and the question is always, when is the day where I'm going to switch over to the dark side and go to Apple instead of my Android phones that I'm so used to? And I don't know if this is the one that's going to convince me. I don't know.
Okay,
I
Greg,
don't know if I got convinced.
It's not going to convince you, because even Apple people aren't convinced.
That's what I want to hear, is your opinion on this. Are you going to be getting the new iPhone 15?
Well, I knew you weren't going to go over to the dark side, or I don't call it the dark side. I'll call it the bright side, right, Vicky? I see Vicky joining us on Facebook Live. Yes, so I'll call the bright side. I feel like Apple, it's a happy phone, and I will say this, I knew you weren't gonna take that leap this time because I didn't think a USB-C charging would do it for you enough to do it for you. But also, what I was interesting is, like, I was really trying to figure out whether or not this was a good business decision to make that transition. Because 'Cause I'm actually on a plan where you can upgrade your phone, every year, and I was like, "Okay, I'm at that juncture, like, do I continue to pay for the phone that I have, which is a 14, or do I go over the 15 and start paying that phone, right?" And they even sent me an email saying, like, you can upgrade, go ahead and check and see, and you can get your order. But I actually hit the button and it says, yeah, you're applicable for upgrade. And I was like, the thing that would have really pushed me over, Greg, is I know Curtis on our team would feel the same, is like if the camera was dramatically better and I could take much better video, much better photos, like that to me would have done it. And unfortunately, based on my limited research, it felt like my 14 and my 15, 48 megapixels on both. I'm like, yeah, no. Yeah, no. So yeah, I'm keeping my phone for another year. I'm gonna just pay it off, and
Yeah.
it works great. I have no complaints, and I'll probably just continue to keep it until I'm done with it, and then one of my kids will take it over.
Yeah. I mean, I think, there's a small upgrades here. They're showing like the action button, which it's just a shortcut key, really. It's like, okay, cool. Yeah, there doesn't seem to be a ton of stuff like in the Pro Max, and they always show really cool stuff. The Pro Max, the highest level of whatever it is, and this could be Samsung, this could be Apple, Google, even. I mean, they're gonna have some really cool features, and if you're really at that end of your that high level of filming with your camera, maybe you'll have some use case for this stuff. They have like the ability to film spatial video, which is going to tie into their headset, but that's such a limited amount of people that are really going to utilize that that's not a mass appeal thing. I wouldn't think that's enough for somebody to just go out and upgrade unless you plan
Yeah,
on
I don't want
filming
to be
videos
part
for the
another,
Apple headset.
right, Greg? Like $1,000 for
Yeah.
nah. I'll hold on to the money.
Yeah. So yeah, then they highlighted gaming and that stuff. Then iOS 17 is going to be coming out. So that's going to be the upgrade that everybody's going to get as far as some new features. You'll be able to tap somebody else's phone and transfer contacts and things like that. There's some new features to iOS 17, but again, even those didn't really like stand out as wow, amazing stuff. It's all right. It's iterative upgrades, but this isn't like the big flashy, I feel like big flashy, whoa, everybody's got to go get the iPhone 15 moment.
Yeah, which is too bad because I think that that's what they needed this year. I feel like they needed to give us a reason to upgrade, and you didn't deliver, Apple.
Well, and this is because this is the start of new phone season. So you got Google coming up here in a little while. They're going to have they've already released pictures of theirs. And they're still a little bit behind Samsung and Apple in a lot of respects, but in the camera side of things, they're right up there. Their camera and their onboard processing ability is pretty good. So I'll be really curious to see what they come out with. I think theirs is in October. It's coming up pretty soon. I'll have to double check the date. So we're going to see some competition here coming out. This is why it's exciting. I do like fall and spring when it comes to new tech products. You get to see a lot of cool stuff. Everybody's trying to wow yet, and Apple, I don't know if you really wowed everybody. I will say the Apple Watch Ultra 2 or Apple Watch Ultra 2, that one, that looks really cool if you were to utilize all those features that it has on it. I mean, this is the one where you can take it diving. It will monitor your health. It will monitor pretty much anything you want. You can talk to it. They've got a new feature called double tap to where you don't even have to have your hands. You don't have to touch it. So say if you're doing something, you can't reach over and use it. You can use your fingers. And if you just tap your fingers like this, you can activate certain features and change things. So that's neat. That's cool. A lot of design features on this thing. I think if somebody's really into this and really especially active outside, doing some maybe even extreme sports, this would be a pretty cool watch to get. It is $799, so it's not like it's a cheap watch, but it does do a lot of things. It is impressive. I mean, if this were something that were gifted to me, I'm not going to get $800 worth of value out of it, but I would definitely use this thing. I would probably switch to this before I would the iPhone 15 because I do like that.
That's
I do like this Ultra
interesting.
watch.
Yeah,
It's
I think
pretty
it's a
cool.
really good looking watch. And
Yeah.
I will say that I was really looking forward to seeing what developments came in the watch space because my Apple Watch, I think it's a 3. Like it works great, but it's just like getting older. The battery's not like how it was before. And I will say what's really cool about these watches is they do so much in terms of health, right? They can monitor heart rate and everything else. And it's kind of cool because in the beginning, they actually did a lot of case studies where these Apple products helped people in some ways, like save their lives or
Yeah.
detected health issues. And I thought that was pretty neat. But and one thing I will say about this Ultra watch, Greg, that you might like is it actually holds its battery life for 36 hours. So I mean, I charge my phone and my watch at night, so I don't wear my watch overnight. But in their case studies, people are actually wearing them overnight to detect their sleeping patterns and all that. So that could be pretty cool. And on that note, I will say this: this is the second Ultra Apple Watch. So if you're looking at the previous years and thinking, oh, maybe I can save some money, based on my research, the savings between the two, we're talking about 10%, like not as significant. So you might actually want to just get the newer one if that's the direction you're going. But yes, it's not an inexpensive watch. But if you are like Greg and outdoors is calling your name and you want something really powerful in terms of watches, this seems like it, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it does a lot of things. And you mentioned the health side of it as well. I mean, it can monitor so much um, data and provide you all that information, things you need to share with your doctor. Um, yeah, there's really a lot. It's an endless amount, and that's just on the health side of things, let alone the athletic tracking and all of that. So yeah, it's a pretty amazing piece of equipment what it's able to do. So yeah, the Ultra Watch 2, and then yeah, I mean those were really the big things from the Apple event that we got to see. So the one other thing I did want to bring up here, just outside of Apple, was something else that I noticed this today. So I wanted to just mention it. And this is happening in Finland, and it's the world's first digital passport is being tested out. So just something to think about. This is just for Finnish residents, and they can use it. I think that when they travel to the UK and a couple of other places, they can use it when they come back in. But this is part of Europe's goal to really transition pretty much everybody over to a digital passport within the next several years. I think it's by 2030 or something like that. But yeah, I thought this is going to be a really interesting case study to see how it works out. They're saying the Finnish border patrol, which I guess they're in charge of this. They were saying that people will be able to get through much faster just using this digital passport versus the regular passport. So yeah, it'll be a good. I'll be interested to follow along with this. I just want to make people aware of it to see how this works out.
I love this idea, Greg, because you think about like so many cases when you travel and like one of the stresses of making sure that you remember your passport and that hasn't expired. You hear of all these people like having to get them rushed, or you're out
Yeah,
in Europe and it gets stolen because many hotels in Europe require you to submit your passport that they hold on to. So
yeah,
I do think about all the potential fraud on these paper books anyway. So the talk of like having this be digital just seems like the right direction, just hoping that they can keep the security function the
yeah,
same, if not better, so that this is something that we can adopt. I mean, I think we would agree, right? Like, I think everything in our wallet needs to be able to go digital, but we just need to make sure that it can keep and stay secure. Because I love how when you travel many places domestically, if there's a clear station in that airport that you're traveling to and from, like you really actually don't even need your driver's license. You just get scanned and you go.
yeah, yeah. I think I'm all for that transition there too. So yeah, we'll see how this works out for Finland. But I think this is a cool first test of it to see where it's going to go, and yeah, find out what happens with that. But
Very
that's what I had. That's what I have for this week. I mean, definitely some stuff to think about this week. Kind of cool new products, and then AI regulation and digital passports.
Very cool. Thank you, Greg. Thank you so much for being here. And thank you so much for the updates. So, always a treat to spend Friday with you and cap off. And thank you everybody for tuning in and being here with you. We so appreciate you. And please, if you go ahead and share this show, make sure to tag at Greg Nibbler at Winnie Sung. We can probably thank you on our future show. And with that, we'll see you next week.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. Bye bye.